Hi everyone, we're going to presenting about migration practicum. Our group member is Diaswan, Fajri, Aldo, and Michellia. And we're going to begin the video with the background of the migration.
Migration is known as a phenomenon defined as the partitioning of chemical compounds from the packaging into food. It depends on several factors. Migration assays are generally time-consuming and require specific conditions in order to investigate the behavior of the packaging in different situations.
There are three factors that influence the transfer of contaminants. The first is the natural properties of food products, and the second is packaging structures such as molecular weight, molecular distribution, degree of crystallinity, packaging orientations and geometry, and volume of packaging. And the third is the time and temperature of the box. The objective of this practicum is to measure the total migrations of various plastic packaging materials into food simulant. Food simulants are needed in the migration test because the real food content is very complex. A food simulant is a simple solution, usually only water and other single components that are used to simulate the real food, making it easier to measure or calculate the amount of migration.
In food packaging terminology, the transfer of contaminant from the material the packer into the product is called migration. There are two kinds of migration, namely overall migration and specific migration. The specific migration is determined by exposing the food contact from material or article to a chemical food stimulant for a specified and appropriate length of time, after which the content of the specific substance in food or food stimulant is determined by appropriate analytical method. The overall migration is determined by exposing a food contact material or article to a chemical food stimulant for a specified and appropriate length of time, after which the extracted residue is dried and weighed. It measures the total amount of all non-volatile substance that can migrate into food.
Now, let's move on to the method. There must be a preparation before we get into the migration test, like for example is the measurement of thickness and volume of plastic sample. The plastic was cut into 10 cm of size by using a caliper and measured the thickness with a screw micrometer with a resolution of 0.005 mm at 5 different locations. The plastic thickness value is the average of these measurements and also calculate the volume of the plastic. And then the second one is making food simulants. 5 kinds of food simulants are distilled water, 15% ethanol in distilled water, 3% acetic acid in distilled water, 95% ethanol in distilled water, and isooctane or heptane. And then the third one is making specimens. Plastic samples were cut into size of 10 multiple by 10 and multiple by 0.05 cm. And then practitioner wipe with dust-free flannel and then practitioner weight them. After that, practitioner record the sample weight and each sample is then cut into piece of 2.5 and multiple by 5 cm in size. And then the fourth one is making the buffer wire. The supporting wire specimens are made of 1 mm diameter steel wire, use pliers or other tools. We continue to the migration test. The total migration test was carried out by the conventional double-sided immersion method. What do we have to do is first is clean the plastic specimen from dust using a dust-free lab cloth, and then second one is insert the specimen into a beaker or glass jar containing 100 ml of food simulant. And then the stainless steel wire is used to support each strip so that the specimens do not overlap one another. First, the stainless steel wire is cleaned using a food simulant. To prevent loss of food simulants due to evaporation, cover the beaker with aluminum foil and then glue it with parafilm. The food simulant apple is marked for the verification. Blanks without specimens were made for each food simulant. The total migration test was carried out 3 times for each plastic sample and each food simulant. After practitioner conducting the migration test, now practitioner has to calculate the total migration. At the end of the test, all food simulants are poured into a non-weight cup and evaporated using a hot plate. Using a sample were rinsed with 10 ml of simulant and poured into individual dishes. During evaporation, the evaporation temperature is kept below the boiling point of each simulant to avoid loss of the simulant due to splashing. When most of the simulant has evaporated, place the saucer in the oven at 105 degrees centigrade for 2 hours. After that, practitioner will wet it. The saucer is heated again in the oven until the same mass obtained. The total migration is calculated by the following formula, where M is the total migration, MA is the residual mass of the sample after evaporation, and MB is the residual mass of the blank, and S is the surface area of the specimen.
That's all from our group. Thank you for watching.